this up at the freight office for you.
Blige, what is it?
It's a letter.
I can see that. What's it say?
From Arthur Harrington in Boston. Says he's coming to Bordertown. Did you send for him?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I owe his uncle.
John Harrington died of a heart attack. I know he was your friend, but you don't owe him anything.
I just don't want to see his place go to the wrong people.
You told me that ranch was mine!
You should remember patience, Mr. Walker.
I have been patient, Mr. Gilbert. You guaranteed me first option to purchase that ranch.
And I had made arrangements for the sale to take place. But this is a new will. John Harrington's nephew was not mentioned in any of the others. He lives in Boston. He will sell. Marshal, what can I do for you?
Just wanted to let you know that Arthur Harrington's on his way here.
What?
I guess he wants to take a look at the ranch before he decides on selling.
Why would he do that?
Because I advised him to. Adios, gentlemen.
Don't worry, Mr. Walker. This nephew will be on the first stage back east.
He had better be, Mr. Gilbert.
Says here he should be on this run.
Jack, I must say I'm very impressed.
Like I said, Marie, there ain't nothing for reading.
Jack Craddock.
You Arthur Harrington?
I am. It's a pleasure to meet you, Marshal Craddock.
Well, it's mighty fine to meet you, too. Did you have a good trip?
Until yesterday. The horses were fed, but we weren't. Is it possible to get a decent meal in that establishment?
Well, Mr. Harrington, I'm sure it's not what you're accustomed to back in Boston, but we like it.
Ah, the Mountie. I'll take that on advisement. Mrs. Dumont.
Yes. How did you know?
If you'll do me the pleasure of dining with me, I'll tell you. There's something I'd like to discuss with you.
Yes, of course.
It was a heart attack?
I'm almost positive.
It's funny. In Boston, we're known as the stout-hearted Harringtons. Not a single male Harrington has died that way.
Heredity isn't the only cause of illness.
Still, you'd think a life out here would make a stout heart stronger.
That's true, but nature doesn't always cooperate.
No, Mrs. Dumont. I realize that.
Perhaps you could answer a few questions for me.
With pleasure.
How could you tell Clive Bennett was a Mountie?
The way he holds himself. The way he watches things without drawing attention to himself. Add the fact he's Canadian, and it becomes obvious.
Yes, but how could you tell that? Thank you.
He possesses that quality all Canadians have. He expresses an opinion as if it were an apology.
And you also knew I was a doctor.
That's simple. I knew your profession because my uncle told me the doctor here had a smile that lit up both sides of the border.
Since that would have been the first compliment John Harrington ever uttered, I'd have to call you a liar.
No need to worry his nephew over nothing.
I'm just trying to keep that ranch in friendly hands. You know, Walker and his bunch ain't exactly good news, you know what I mean?
So you drag that Easterner out here because you don't like the Ranchers Association?
It's more than simply not like it. Them people have a way of tearing up a town. You should know that, Bennett. I've seen you here before.
Are you?
Loaded up your supplies, Arthur.
Thank you, Jack. I'm already in your debt.
Don't mention it. Come on, let's go.
Ooh.
Mr. Harrington! Let me introduce myself.
I know who you are, Mr. Gilbert. I observed your interest in me when I arrived.
This gentleman is interested in buying your uncle's ranch. May I present him to you?
Why should I meet a man who wants to buy something that is not for sale?
Yeah, get up. I was a good friend of your uncle's.
Well, you must have been the only one.
Yeah, well, you gotta respect a man who's got the guts to stand on his own. Ranchers Association pressed him to sell out for a solid year.
I know. He wrote me about it.
I think he'd like to see his spread stay in the family.
I told Gilbert it wasn't for sale.
You planning on staying here?
I might. Although being so close to all those oatmeal savages doesn't appeal to me.
Oatmeal savages?
Canadians.
Will, what happened?
I don't know, Jack. I was hit from behind.
Come on. Hey, stand up. Yeah. I remember your uncle saying you was a writer, but all them books, they yours?
Unfortunately not. This is my reading. A writer turns over an entire library for a single book. You know, you should have a look at this writer, Marshall. Edgar Allan Poe. He writes about crime.
Oh, I don't think I could manage it, really.
You know, Jack, since I'm here for a spell, I wonder if you could give me a little help with firearms. I could use your expertise.
Sure thing. What in tarnation is that?
This is the tool of my trade. A Remington.
A Remington? No wonder you need some practice. You should be using a Winchester.
There is another matter where I could use your expertise. I need you to help me to find the man who killed my uncle.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Harrington. This is Mr. Walker.
I think you lost this last night.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Perhaps the marshal will.
Sir, the association I work for is not in the habit of employing fear tactics.
Really? Tell that to Will Stewart. My ranch house was vandalized and he was beaten up.
I don't know anything about that. Mr. Harrington, unless you sell to the association today, you'll be left holding that property forever.
Then I'll hold it. I won't sell to any man who uses these to negotiate.
You're a fool.
You think that I...
Who else would be stupid enough to think he could scare a Harrington with a bullet?
Why don't you order yourself a typewriter, Clive?
What for?
Well, it'd make life a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? I mean, with a typewriter, you just push some buttons and does all the writing for you.
You know, Jack, sometimes you have a very unique way of looking at things.
Good morning.
Arthur?
Good morning.
Was Walker here when my uncle was killed?
What do you mean was killed?
Corporal, this is American business.
I don't know why Americans always believe that a death is the result of a murder. While you two amateur Pinkertons are grasping at straws, I'm going to deliver the mail.
This was fired at me last night. Do you think I'm grasping at straws?
You might need this.
Nice shot. I think you got a knack for this.
Show me how to shoot off the draw, Jack.
Sure, as soon as you show me how to write a novel.
Good point, Jack.
Go on, try another one. Guess you was first time lucky. Try another one. Now just hold on there, partner. How come you got my name and Marie's in here?
It's nothing, Jack.
You thought I killed your uncle?
It crossed my mind.
Is that so? Well, let me tell you something. As long as I'm wearing this here badge, I ain't no suspect. In fact, I do the suspecting. You got that?
I read that marshals are often in the back pockets of the cattlemen.
Yeah, well, don't believe everything you read.
I'm sorry.
You want to draw from the hip? You draw, you set, you fire. You got it.
I said you weren't a suspect, Jack. Maybe it was just a heart attack. Maybe this whole murder plot is just grist for a book.
What, you giving up?
Why belabor it any longer? The association's offer comes due today, and no one's tried to kill me. Have a seat, Jack. I'll be out momentarily. Even though they stole it from China, there's one thing we can thank the British for.
You don't have any coffee, do you? My heart's running away with me.
What's wrong, Jack?
I don't know, but I wouldn't drink that if I was you.
I think it's time we threw another tea party. Come in, Mr. Walker. We've been waiting for you.
I still don't understand why you wanted to meet here.
Have a seat. I've gathered you together because I have some news that concerns all of us. I've decided to sell. I hope I'm not too late, Mr. Walker.
A wise decision, Mr. Harrington. Congratulations.
I think this occasion calls for a drink. Anyone care to join me?
I wouldn't say no to a whiskey.
Absolutely not. You're in the house of a doctor, and alcohol is off limits here. However, I've prepared some tea.
Thank you, Marie.
Marie?
Don't make such a face, Mr. Walker. It's only tea.
Thank you.
Arthur brought it from his uncle's ranch.
Mr. Stewart!
Just get me out of here. Don't do it, Stewart. Stewart!
Marshal! Marshal! Get your hands off me!
Now look, Stewart. Don't make it any worse than it already is. Just let him go. Let him go.
The end of the line, Mr. Stewart. Well, I suppose now I'm going to have to teach you how to write a novel. So you see, Corporal, you can kill someone with a heart attack if it's triggered by foxglove.
Foxglove, the flower?
It's sometimes used to stimulate the heart. On a heavy dose, it could be fatal. I should have detected it.
By the time you got to the body, you wouldn't have been able to tell.
Why did Stewart do it?
He knew this family would never sell out to the association. If he got me out of the way, he would be able to do what he wanted.
Why would he think that?
He was next in line in my uncle's will. It's a shame. If he'd been a good man, I would gladly have sold it to him.
So what are you planning on doing with your uncle's spread now?
I think I'll let it sit for a spell. Maybe I'll return when I finished my novel.
Your novel?
The Case of the Stout-Hearted Harrington. It's a book I'll be dedicating to a friend. Mrs. Dumont, I have a confession.
Yes?
I did lie. My uncle never told me about you being beautiful.
Why, thank you, Mr. Harrington.
Mr. Harrington. Have a safe trip.
Arthur, I ain't really got much need for this one here, so I'd like you to accept it. If you're ever out this way again, I'd be proud to teach you how to use it right.
Thank you, Jack.
My pleasure. You have a good trip, you hear?
All right, say it.
Say what?
You were right and I was wrong.
Why belabor the obvious, Clive?
Who vandalized the ranch?
Stewart. He faked it.
And the shot?
I think it was Gilbert. You see, if he could scare off Arthur, he stood to make his 15% off the sale. But I still ain't real sure about that part. You know, this whole revolting affair brings to mind this here story by Mr. Poe. They found this feller's killer because the dead man's heart wouldn't stop beating. We found John Harrington's because his did.
Are you trying to say that you read this?
A good part of it, yeah.
I don't believe you.
Suit yourself.
Prove it.
I don't feel the need to, actually.
Scared?
Scared of words, Clive? All right. Let's see. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. He had the eye of a vulture. Pale blue eye. You know, you ought to spend more time with books. You know that? Mine could use the work.
He taught you that, didn't he?
You can believe whatever you want, Clive. Right now, I got a hankering for dinner.